Welcome to the Business with Beers podcast. This is the place where we help entrepreneurs expand their business, build their wealth, and generate passive income. I'm your host, Brian Beers, an entrepreneur who's on a mission to inspire growth from everyone around me. Remember that you need to take the actions others won't, and you can live the life that others don't. Please be sure to check out my weekly newsletter that now drops every Thursday. It includes one quote, one tweet, one podcast recommendation, plus some business and investing insight from me. It's short and it's sweet. My goal is to provide you with just a couple gold nuggets to help inspire your growth. Go to brianbeers.com to subscribe. Hello, everyone. I'm excited today to bring you Matt Adelmann. Matt is a partner at Chiodo Consulting, a food and beverage brokerage that helps companies sell and market their products to retailers nationwide. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So to start, can you give us an idea of your journey, maybe from 18 years old or so to kind of where you got now into the food and beverage industry?
Yeah, sure. I mean, my journey is convoluted, but there's kind of a consistent theme that rolls through it with the food world. And again, before I jump in, thanks for having me on. I think randomly things happen on Monday when I was listening to your last podcast. It was with Kira Holmes.
Okay.
They were at my house, cleaning my house.
Oh my God. Really? That's
So,
awesome.
I think it's cool to see some familiar names pop up.
Yeah.
But
You sound like the target customer of theirs though. So this makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like most people, I went to college, got a degree. I was going to be a dentist. And by the time that I was ready to graduate, realized I don't want to do that at all. I love food. And so I was going to become a chef. The hours sucked, so I didn't go that route either. And a couple years later, did insurance sales, just was really confused and didn't know what to do. I landed a job at Supervalu. Supervalu is a really large grocery distributor out of Minnesota. They had just acquired Albertsons stores. So they had just become a major grocery player. And I was brought in to be an analyst on the bakery team. I knew nothing about any of this stuff, but they liked me in the interview. They brought me in, and I've spent the last, call it 15 years in the food industry, managing all sorts of different brands and categories for major retailers, for Land O'Lakes on the marketing side of the world, at Target Corporation, managing the deli division. If you've ever bought a food product at Target, that was something our team built and put together and put out there. And now today I'm part of a consulting team that helps manufacturers that make food and make retail CPG products get into places like Target and Albertsons and Costco and really wherever. So
Okay.
it's been a winding path, but I'm super happy where I am now, and we do a lot of really cool stuff.
Cool. Yeah. So let's talk about some of that. So in your current role, do companies come to you with an idea, with a concept, and then you're consulting to say, hey, I think this is going to work, this is not going to work? Like, walk me through, like, what does the process look like from like you get the lead to the call to you start working with them?
Sure. The food industry is, I mean, it's still old school as can be. We do get some calls in, and we do have some folks that reach out through, email, whatever. But oftentimes you're meeting someone at a food show, and you're going to their booth and you're looking at what they have. And if something kind of looks right, or there's capabilities that you see there that a customer wants, like Target, you start to have that conversation with them to say, well, what are you guys all about? What can you do? Are you interested in trying to go after, a large player, or are you guys more of a regional brand? So it starts at the typically a trade show level, and then we're gonna sit down and talk about, what do you guys make today? Does it fit in retail? This is what the customer wants. Can you do X, Y, or Z? And it becomes this really big back and forth collaboration on trying to get a product that fits the market.
So backing up a step, just so I understand. So Target then hires you guys and other companies like you to then help like bring products into their store. Can you like walk the relationships again? Can you break that down?
Sure. The industry, so we're hired by the manufacturer side, and Target or whoever. I mean, we're there to really help support. I know Target, right? So I work a lot with them. The manufacturer would hire me or hire a company to say, we want to launch, I don't know, donuts. Here's what we can do today. Help us figure out how we go to Target. Now, a lot of people in this space would just bring the product to Target or bring it wherever and say, here's a donut, do you want to sell it? But I've worked on both sides of the desk. So a lot of what we do and specialize in is sitting down with the manufacturer and saying, we need to tweak X, Y, or Z. We need to do this. This is the flavor profile. This is the size it needs to be. This is how it needs to go through the transportation system and all of that sort of stuff. And so we're helping inform the vendors, who is our customer, to ultimately get the product to shelf.
Okay. And that's because you used to work for Target. You said you were on the other side as part of your history, but just that was part of your role, was on the other side of it, buying from manufacturers.
Right.
Got it.
So I was the guy at Target deciding, hey, I like that donut, let's bring it in. But I need it to do all of these different things that it doesn't do today.
Got it. Cool. So I guess that's part of your competitive advantage as this consulting company now, is because you're on both sides of it versus somebody who's just, kind of all push, no pull, or whatever it looks like.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people, especially smaller up and coming food companies, or really any person that makes a product that they want to sell into a big retail company, they think their product is like the perfect thing as is, right? And so they put all this time into designing what they think is right, and they don't always take into account, like, what does the person at Target want? What does the final guest want? What does the consumer really want at the end of the day? So a lot of people are really focused on, here's the capabilities I have. Matt, just go sell this as is. And where we come in, it's like, well, I appreciate your capabilities, but we got to tweak a couple things because it doesn't fit in its current form. So
are there some like totally obvious ones that are kind of like the no-brainers that you have to kind of walk them through each time, like in terms of the packaging of it or whatever?
So usually what ends up happening, we work a lot in the deli and the bakery business. So we're in like the fresh, think like the I don't want to call it the fancy part of the store, but that's where a lot of like artisanal products are. We work with a lot of artisanal brands that artisanal is like fancy, right?
The cheese or like the pepperoni.
Cheese is a great example.
Yep.
So I'll go meet with the cheese manufacturer who makes like the greatest cheese ever, right? And it is really, really good, and it's awesome, and it's so high end and so cutting edge. There's only so many people across the country that really care about really high end cheese. And so it's going into a company like that, or a charcuterie company that makes, sliced meat or cured meats, and saying, we have to figure out how to hit the masses with your product. Otherwise, you're only going to sell into boutiques, which is totally fine if that's the business model you want. But it's having that conversation with a lot of folks to help them understand their product it's awesome, it's great, but it needs to change a little bit depending on where you want to go, target market type stuff.
Gotcha. Which could be a downgrade from their top tier level, right? If they want to get to more
It could
mass.
Be a downgrade. It could be a size change, right? Like they make this super fancy product and it's a 1 pound item and it costs $20. We'll make this super fancy product, but make it a 6 ounce item and it costs $10. Maybe that's more appetizing. Or it could be a complete product rechange. Like there's lots of options we're going to go down, but at the end of the day, it's always, we know what's going to sell at retail. We know what the buyers are looking for and what the customers want for the accounts we call on. And then it's guiding the manufacturers to create that product that fits into it.
Okay. Are there any big trends that you see that are changing in the whole, like, consumer products, the products you're bringing in now versus what it was a while ago?
In the food space, it has changed dramatically in the last 2 years. Are you a big foodie? Do you follow any big food trends?
Sort. I mean, I'm aware of them.
So we'll call it 2018, 2019, there was a really big push for like plant-based, super healthy, all of this flexitarian lifestyle, right? And then the world shut down, and I mean, if you saw pictures, right, grocery stores were completely out of stock.
Yep.
Except there was one product type that was in every grocery store. You could find it everywhere. If you wanted plant-based items, that was like your time to shine, because that's all that was left, because nobody wanted it. They wanted the tried and true things that just gave them comfort and made them happy. And, at the end of the day, like if I'm stuck at home, I want a great tasting item. So things like that were kind of more cutting edge, people didn't really know what it was yet. That's really slowed down a lot in the last couple of years. And there's been a huge shift back to comfort in this crazy inflation economy that we have right now. Right? Everything. I'm sure you've heard the food industry in particular has just been absolutely crushed by this. And so like, if I'm going to go buy, again, a dessert, right? A bakery item, and I'm going to spend $10 on it, that thing better be really good. And so we see a lot of shift back towards things that are really easy to make. So we call it like ready to cook or ready to heat. Like think a steak that's already seasoned, right? I'm going to bring it home. I'm just going to cook it. I know it's going to taste good. I'm going to buy a really decadent dessert item. So it's like, all this health and wellness stuff pre-COVID is gone. It's back to just give me good products at a price that's kind of okay, which is crazy.
Yep. Have you seen with a lot of the I don't know, shift towards other people doing the shopping and like delivering it, getting groceries delivered. I don't know, we get groceries delivered, right? Has that behavior been a shift at all in terms of the products that are moving more now because of it all?
Yeah, it's been a huge change. So in 2019-ish, something like 1 to 2% of all grocery sales were done digitally online through some sort of shipping service or pick up at store, whatever. It was projected by like 2030 that online digital sale would get to about 5 or 6%. In the middle of 2020, when we were all shut down and at home, digital penetration of grocery jumped to 10%. So in 1 year, right,
10x,
it went from 1% to 10%. It exceeded the forecast of the next 20 years just in the blink of an eye. So this whole alternative way of shopping and delivery service and how you get your food and how you get your groceries, it's changed so much already in the last 2 years. And I'd say 10 years from now, you can get food wherever the hell you want to.
Yeah.
Right. There's
there's
companies testing robots, and it's crazy.
Do you see them moving towards like, I don't know, you hear ghost kitchens, right? They cook the food like somewhere else and it's like delivered.
Right.
Is there something like that do you think in the food where, they can have these more industrial places that then getting deliveries out of instead of the prime real estate, Whole Foods or Target, strip center? Or is that not a thing?
Well, it really depends on the retail that you're talking about. Like ghost kitchens, they're becoming more and more popular in the food service side, right? I want lunch or dinner, whatever. Like, I don't know when the last time you went to a quick service place is, but most of the time you pull up and drive-throughs open or pickups open. You can't eat inside most restaurants right now. Still, they just say like, we can't staff it.
Yep.
Right. So the ghost kitchen concept in food service is picking up, and I think it's here to stay. On the actual grocery store side, if you don't have people coming into your stores, you miss out on a lot of the impulse, and you miss out on a lot of the cross-selling opportunities. So I don't think it's going to completely shift that way, but if you go out of America, like Singapore, it's big in that market. Technology and everything, and the way you shop, like you don't even have a cart, you don't have checkouts anymore. You put it in this little robot thing, and it drives around the store, and you put stuff in there, and then you go to your car. It runs through the checkouts on its own. It rings up on its own, and then it goes to your car. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, you hear Amazon testing that in a number of stores, some of those, that concept at these very small like footprints. So it'd be interesting to see if we continue to evolve. That'd be nice. It's terrible to wait in line, after you've spent, for me, like half hour wandering around the store trying to find stuff because I'm never there. But I get that.
Right. And it's the Amazon test, like in theory, I do think that's going to become much more of the norm. It's the contactless paying, the no waiting in line, right? You get an item, you put it in your basket, and your basket knows what you have, and then you press a button and I'm done, and you check out and you go. Like it has to, right? Because right now you go to the grocery store and you stand in line for 20 minutes because they don't have enough people to hire to be a cashier.
Yep.
It's kind of a self-fulfilling thing.
Cool. So back to some of the companies you worked with. So what are some of the most successful products that you've helped launch, and kind of what are some of the factors that you think made it successful?
Man, that's a good question.
Or favorite ones. I don't know if you're successful. Just, I don't know, favorite ones to work with that you think people may be familiar with.
I think, me personally, my favorite program that I was ever a part of, again, this is at Target. If you walk into Target, any of the 1,800 stores that have refrigeration across the country, if you go and buy the Good and Gather ready to cook proteins, we were talking about this just a little while ago, this segment. So we're talking about chicken strips and shredded chicken and marinated, fully cooked items.
Okay. Barbecue, we like pulled pork, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. Yep. I've seen those.
So we launched that 6-7 years ago, and it was a good fit, but we had the chance to redo it around 2018, 2019 when Target launched a brand new brand, Good and Gather, and we did a complete rehaul, and it was the first huge major program where we went to every single person we could possibly think of and get insights from them on flavors. What do you like? What type of flavor? What type of shred? Do you like this diced chicken or this strip chicken? Like, the amount of research that went into designing just 16 food items that sit on a shelf was incredible to me. Maybe a little overkill, but at the end of the day, when we launched that product, and it happened to fit into this time period we were just talking about where this category in particular took off. But I mean, we tripled the sales on that program in 1 year, and not in like a cheating the system way, but in a way where it was like, dang man, we made some really great products, and it's really delivering on what we set out to do, and the products continue to just grow and grow and grow. That was a really cool, massive program. That's awesome. I mean, it took all sorts of folks to put it together.
So what do the margins look like at the different levels? So like, I don't know if you have an example of something that sells for like $10 or something at Target, like to the customer, like let's like back into it. Like what is Target buying that for?
It really depends on the grocery store you're talking about and the division. So you could walk into the bakery department, their margin requirements can be vastly different than if you walk into the bread aisle.
Got it. Yep.
Right. So if you go buy fresh baked bread,
much better margins. I imagine
it's by department. The more premium, the more fresh, the more labor that went into it. Typically, it's going to have higher margins on it. The more it looks just manufactured in a factory, typically the lower the margins.
Yeah.
Can of soup. Right. Yeah. But it really depends on then the retailer that you're shopping at, right? If you go to Costco charges a membership fee. They make very little margin on their product because they make all their money on the membership fee. That's why it's so cheap. Yep. You go to someone like Acme or Albertsons or these high-low retailers who they're going to make a huge margin on their item every day, but they're going to promote the crap out of it, 26, 30 times a year, right? It's almost always on deal, and they're really not going to make, they never sell it at the full price and make the full margin. They always make the promoted price because that's when people buy it. Mm-hmm. And then Target and the people in between, they set a reasonable margin for their stores where they just have an everyday good price. Walmart, good example, right?
Yep.
There is promotion, but not that much. In the food world, I mean, I think you could look at Walmart's financials for the year. It's something like 12 to 18% margin on their food business.
Okay. So they're making $1.18 on it. So they're buying it for $8, Rob, or more than that, I guess. $8.80, something like that. It's like their cost. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They're buying.
Those are tight margins, and that's gross, right? Because then even after that, they've got payroll and rent and insurance, and they got to run the business. And
bingo. Yep.
Then what about on the manufacturer side? Like, are there certain KPIs they're trying to hit? Like, so their Target's buying it for $8 or whatever. Like, is it similar tight, or they got more room on it?
It really, if it's a sophisticated manager manufacturer who has really good lines set up and they really know how to manufacture, they can make 20, 30, 40, 50% on their products. But oftentimes what we find, especially right now, a lot of people have neglected making their manufacturing work really good over the years. And so, I mean, we're talking pretty slim margins for a lot of these people, high single digits, low double digits. It's not like there are not many people out there making hundreds of percent on anything.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And that's gross too, right? Not even net. We're talking just gross margins, like what the cost of the product is versus, what they're selling it for.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Food's a tough business. That's what I've always, even in grocers, you hear grocers at the end of the day, they're making like single digit nets, 3-4% maybe. And it's not an easy business. That's probably in part why there's these big conglomerates, right? Is they kind of need the volume to really make the dollars.
They need the volume, man.
So,
well, you mentioned the kind of the ghost kitchen idea. I mean, think about it like this. You get the ads in the paper, right? And on the front page, it's got 1 pound of ground beef for $1, whatever it is, right? The super, super hot priced items on the ads, they're usually selling at a loss. A lot of these retailers. It's just to get you in the door.
Yep.
Right. So if you take away getting people in the door, that's like half of the strategy is gone.
Yep. So then they would have to do it through their app, right? Like you're shopping through the app, and then that's where they probably have to get better at the cross promotions and the selling and the recommendations and all the stuff. But
they have so far to go in that space.
Yeah, some of them are really terrible. I know some of the ones we use just crash like all the time, and it's extremely frustrating. As part two, but yeah. Also,
think about this. I went to go ahead.
You're good.
I went to right before everything shut down. I went to this digital trade show thing out in Vegas. They brought on all these retailers and all the buyers and all these CPG manufacturers to talk about digital trends and what's happening. And one of the big grocery chains got up there to talk about their app. This is back to what you were just saying. And what they were most excited about in their app was that they could serve up their weekly ad to more people. The same ad that went in the newspaper, right? So they were happy on the digital side to just be able to serve the same thing that they were already like. There's no innovation. There's nothing else about cross promotion or, getting a little smarter about the business.
Does each one have their own? Is that part of it versus like, so they each independently are trying to like move in the same direction versus you think, I don't know, and they probably don't want a shared like software provider, but you think that somebody comes in and makes just a better mousetrap and then license it to all these different companies.
A lot of them are trying to do their own thing and they don't have the budgets to do it or the know-how to do it, which is why you see such a disjointed digital experience from so many grocery stores.
Yeah. Cool. So kind of pivoting to, I don't know, maybe on a kind of more personal note in terms of, so you make money from your job and your work and kind of your investments. And then where do you put your money? How do you, I guess, view kind of growing your wealth? I see you got Psychology of Money behind you there. It's a great book. One of my favorites. So I probably subscribe to similar concepts, but anyway, so how do you kind of view all that?
On the investment side, I diversify a little bit. I've got some money in the stock market, but I went big into real estate, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. Building up a rental portfolio. So most of the money that we have at the end of the day goes back into building the rental portfolio in a very hands-off way though.
Okay. All in your area in Minneapolis?
We're not in Minneapolis, but we're all in Minnesota.
Okay.
So we picked a slightly different, smaller city center to buy our rentals in. And we have a management team up there. They do all the stuff for us.
Okay. That's good. Is that kind of the continued path, or is it you going in a different direction, or do you like it?
Man, I've gone so back and forth on this one, and I had visions of being this apartment guy and wholesaler and flipping, and at the end of the day, this has been a journey, dude. Like I'm talking 2 months ago, I sat down and was like, food is what I love and what I really know. Like, why am I killing myself trying to do all this real estate stuff? And so the path forward is we'll keep acquiring single family duplexes, small apartments in the area we invest in, we'll passively let it manage and just focus on growing the food business and launching more food products.
Yeah. I've been on that same journey as you, where we actually, similarly, we did some flips, we did some single family homes, and, and then I was getting, we had management companies, but they weren't the best. And then I'd be getting all these calls and I'd be dealing with all these tenant issues. And like, I had $10,000 repair on a place that cash flowed like $300 a month. Like it would take 30 months, like 3 years to pay back what this one thing cost us. And it was like, why am I doing all this? Like, this is not like, this doesn't make sense. All the like time, the energy, the effort, like the mental space that you have to dedicate to worrying about, I had a lady die in a place, and it's like all this stuff, right? Man. Like, she was the same one that had the $10,000 repair to it, and place must have been like cursed. But
oh geez.
So all this stuff that's like, like at the end of the day, is it all worth it versus saying, hey, what if I just take that energy, I apply it to my business, I could totally like get way more compounded gains and cash flow, and then I can have more money that I can then go and put in passive things, whether it's a more passive role in real estate, or whether it's syndications, or there's tons of different things you can do that beyond the stock market.
Absolutely.
And then like not worry about it. Yeah. I think a lot like in the Psychology of Money, and I think it's like one of my favorite books I've read over the past year, which is that concept of you just these compound, you just like keep putting money in, you don't worry, you don't play the games, like, and you play different games. Like a lot of times we play a long-term game in our minds where we're like, we want, it's a 10-year timeline, right? Or a 30-year timeline, or a 50-year timeline. But then we're like looking at the daily stock price, and we're like trying to compete with like day traders and all this stuff. But it's like they're playing a short-term game, right?
Right.
And most people, like 95% of the people, or maybe it's higher, we play a long-term game. But if we start competing to try to play a short-term game mindset by looking at the stock price every single day, it like totally defeats the purpose if we're trying to like, play these games of timing the market and all this stuff. So anyway, it's
well, you can't, right?
Yeah, you can't.
It's just
Yep.
It's what is the stat? I always butcher it, right? 11 times or whatever in the last 20 years. If you were out of the stock market for
something
11
like that.
days, you'd lose like 100% of the it's just there's no point. It's so draining. That Psychology of Money book, I mean, talks about this. It's such an important part, and like be in it for the long term. Whatever you're gonna do, like be good at it,
Yep.
be committed to it, but be in it for the long term.
And then it's just like consistency. And so even for us, for like on the real estate side, it's been, you know, so now we invest in like, we can buy our own properties that we occupy. I do still have a few rentals. But then it's like, hey, I just want to be in other people's deal and like get exposure, but in a more passive way. And that, we can just keep stacking those deals up, right? And then you get cash flow, you get appreciation, you get taxes, you get all the benefits. But there's literally zero work that goes into it. And so I think for a lot, it's just kind of trying to find the balance between like the risk. It's like it's risk, obviously, it's reward, but it's also like time. And so for a lot of people like us, who we're trying to build businesses, we don't have the time. So it's like to invest in something that takes a lot of our time is actually costing us a lot more than just what the cash flow is. So
yeah.
Anyhow,
I know
I support your decision. So
thanks. Well, and you talk a lot about passive cash flow or just cash flow in general on your show, and in the food world, this was the aha for me a couple months ago. I'm like, because when I left Target and went into the real estate side, trying to do real estate, it's because all I followed was real estate people, right? The GoBundance guys and Bigger Pockets, and I see all these people just crushing them. Like, well, I'm going to do that too. Because I couldn't see it in the food world. Like, how the hell? I've been a corporate W-2 guy my entire life, and like, the salary was great and the bonuses were good. Like, don't get me wrong, it was totally fine, but I couldn't see the path in the food world of how I could see it in real estate. So I jumped ship. I got out of food altogether for 2 years, and came back in because I finally was like, well, the brokerage side makes so much sense because you're paid on every sale that happens, and if I just help retailers and manufacturers connect with really great products and sell a lot of product, there's my cash flow each month. That
okay, so you guys get is it an ongoing commission?
Ongoing commission on it depends, but for the most part, a commission on every product that's sold through the register.
Like in perpetuity, or is it decrease over time? Or
it's typically they're going to be set up for some sort of time frame, and then you'll negotiate back and forth, as the contracts come up. But yeah, usually it's if in my world, most brokers, and no offense if you're listening, other brokers, they suck. They don't do their job. Like, I'm sure you've dealt with it in
it's all
buying businesses,
business
right?
Brokers are the same way too, and a lot of them it's just volume and deals, not necessarily like the best deal or what's best for the people. It's kind of what's maybe best for them, even whether it's intentional or not.
Right. And like I am just default wired. I can't operate that way. I'm gonna really try to make the best stuff and sell the most for both people. And so the mindset that I have, it gets me really excited to wake up and try to sell more food products than it did to try to sell more real estate.
Okay. And it's a cool business model because it's like a recurring revenue model,
Bingo.
Right? Where you can build this thing, I guess is, eventually it drops off if you probably don't, fill the funnel, but it's not like, it's a total hustling, trading time for money in a sense where, as soon as you do it, you're done. You get rewarded if you did a good job, and then they'll probably come back to you for the next product too, right? Like, I guess that's probably part of your ongoing relationship.
Exactly.
So, that's pretty cool. So is that your other book, The Vivid Vision, is that kind of the new vision then is kind of building this brokerage up to be a big player?
Yeah, exactly. We the brokerage itself right now is kind of a niche player. We work with some of the really big grocers out there, but we're really bakery, deli, and the fresh world in general. And there's only two of us, but we manage, I don't know, $150 million of retail sales.
Okay.
Like it's pretty big considering. But yeah, the vision is take what I know, take what my partner knows, and get some more people on board and build this thing across the country. Because
okay. What do you need to scale? Like, what do you need to do?
The biggest thing, what depends on the retailers we want to go after. I have a benefit. I live in Minneapolis, so Target makes sense.
Yeah.
Oftentimes this is face-to-face stuff. So if we're going to scale, we need people in the markets we want to go after. We need a lot of people on the analytics side who are really good at numbers and data and looking at trends and helping make sense of that. So it's finding the right salespeople to help grow, and then finding the right analytics people that can provide a lot of value at the end of the day.
You need someone in Bentonville, huh?
I don't know if I want to go that route. That's a different beast altogether.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure you could probably do pretty good without them.
I wouldn't mind someone down in Florida. Publix is fantastic.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And I like Florida.
Yep. Yeah, I went to school in Miami, well,
oh, you did?
Publix was the only place that we could go to get like something that was similar to hoagie up here in the Northeast, right? They called them subs, but they were the only place that had like fresh bread, and like it was like way better than like, I don't know, the Subway or whatever the other options were. So anyway,
yep.
I like Publix, but cool, man. All right, well, I appreciate you coming on the show here and sharing kind of your insight. It's definitely a cool business model, and excited to see kind of what you continue to do and build the business.
Well, yeah, man, I appreciate chatting with you and letting me share a little bit about what we do here. And I mean, the food world is it's a jungle. It changes every day, but yeah, it's fun to be in.
Awesome. So where can listeners connect if they're interested in like getting in contact with you or learning more about what you do?
I mean, the easiest thing, if you just search Matt Adelmann, I have a up and coming YouTube channel. I'll be launching a podcast here in a few weeks called The Hardest Deal. But yeah, if you search Matt Adelmann, you'll be able to find me. YouTube's probably the best.
Yeah. What's YouTube about?
So I talk about The Hardest Deal. I talk about sales and marketing. I talk about the food industry. I talk about business and just how to, get better at what you want to do and create the life that you're trying to create. So that's kind of my mission right now between that and food and
cool,
having fun.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks again. And yeah, we'll be chatting.
Thanks, man.
That's all we got for this episode with the Business with Beers podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is to rate the show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen. Also, make sure to link up with me on your preferred social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find all my links at brianbeers.com. Please just share the podcast with anyone who you think might enjoy it. And until next time, remember to take the actions others won't, to live the life that others don't.